Hi guys! I have just started using my brand new 2021 Spring Hobonichi Cousin, and I wanted to show you how I've got it set up. So this is the 7th year that I've been using a Hobonichi Cousin as a work planner, and those of you who are familiar with my setup will recognize a lot of this. But as I often do, I have made some changes since the last time I showed you my cousin. So I just wanted to show you what this new one looks like. The first thing that you can see is that I have stickerated the cover, which is something that I have never done before, and I'm just sorry that I waited for so long. From now on, I am going to stickerate every single Hobonichi Cousin that I get because it just looks so much happier and more inviting. So I have it inside a Salty Katie jelly cover, which I will link down below. On the inside cover, I have also done some stickerating, continuing along in the same vein. I also put some washi here down the side just for a bit of decoration, and you'll see that there's going to be quite a bit more washi as we continue, which again is something that I have never really done before, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. I don't use these for writing, I just use them to check dates. Then you can see that I put some washi on the edge of this and also some tabs. So I bought this pack of tabs from an Etsy shop, which I will link down below. I think that they're available from a few different Etsy shops. The one that I bought them from is UK based, but basically this says freely, and then there is one that says weekly, and then there is one for each month. So I liked these because you can attach them so that they barely stick out. So if you see what this looks like from the side, you can see that I've positioned the tabs so they're almost flush. And the reason I did that was because previously I had tabs and they would get really mangled and tattered by the end of the year, and I wanted to avoid that this year. So I decided to go for these because they're thick enough that I can feel them, but they're almost flush with the page. There's no way that they'll get squished as the year goes on. Okay, so you can see that this is blank, and that's because I used this vertical yearly spread as an index to my daily pages. So after the month is over, I write in any important dates that have information that I think I'm going to need to refer back to later in the year and in subsequent years. Because this is all work related, I have a lot of things like project notes and research ideas, meeting notes, all kinds of different things that I might have to refer back to, but some pages are just daily planning, and so those I won't need to refer back to. So I just use this to note down which pages I'm going to want to reference later. Then we move on to the monthly spreads, and I have another tab here with washi, and I put the washi here to make it easier for me to flip to the page. So I've got the tab here, but I also have the washi, and it makes this really cool pattern because I did this for the whole year. So you can see that every page that has a tab on it also has washi, and so it just somehow makes it very easy to flip to it, but it didn't bulk up the book at all. So I'm really happy with that, and I'm going to do that every year going forward. This is the first year that I've done this in my cousin, and I'm really pleased with how it came out. So I've made a big change in how I use my monthlies since the last time that I talked about my cousin setup. For a while, I guess almost for a year, I was using my monthlies to note down all of my future plans and appointments, and then at the beginning of the week I would transfer them over to the weeklies. But I felt like that was making extra work for me, and that sometimes these boxes would get really crowded if I had a lot of appointments on a particular day. So I decided to experiment with something new, which I kind of felt that I was missing in my system as it was, and that was having a dedicated place for deadlines. So in my job I have a lot of deadlines, and they can be all kinds of different deadlines coming from different sources. There can be writing deadlines, proofreading deadlines, editorial deadlines, student assignment deadlines, etc., etc. And so I thought that it would be really nice just to have a spot where I can see all of my deadlines and there's nothing else there, so it's completely focused and really easy to find which deadline is where. And so I started doing that, I guess about a month and a half ago in my old cousin, and I was really pleased with how it worked, and so I decided to continue with it into this new one. So you can see that this layout is very empty because literally all I put in it is deadlines. So you can see I had a deadline at the end of last month, basically last week, and I did that. So I can ignore that, and now I can focus on the upcoming deadlines. And it's actually a huge relief because I often find deadlines to be a major source of anxiety, along with everyone else on the planet, I'm sure. And so just being able to see what are my upcoming deadlines and when do I have to deal with things really makes it easy to prioritize, because I can see, okay, this is the next thing that's coming up and this is my student's next essay, so I know that this week I'm going to have to be marking essays. And then this is another deadline for a proposal for a conference, and so if I know when the deadline is, I can decide when do I want to start working on the proposal for that conference, etc. And so I've just written down all of the deadlines that I know about at the moment, and you can see that there are a few here, and that just makes it much easier to see where my focus should be, because I feel like if I put the deadlines in the weekly spreads, there's too much else going on in the weekly spreads, because the weekly spreads are where the heart of my planning happens. Deadlines in here, it's easy for them to get lost, and it's also harder to see the big picture, right? Because this is a monthly spread, and so that means that I can see exactly where everything sits in relation to each other in a way that I wouldn't be able to do if all of these deadlines were on separate weekly spreads. So I'm really, really happy with this, and I don't mind the fact that there's a lot of blank space, because I think the blank space actually makes it more effective, because it just draws my eye straight to where the deadlines are and I can see without a lot of clutter. The other thing that I've been putting on the monthly spreads are things that have to get done in a particular month, but I don't know exactly when. So I'm putting them in this vertical column on the left here, because that's quite separate from where all the deadlines are. And then this just reminds me to check sometime during the month I need to do this thing, even though there might not be a specific deadline yet, and I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but I want to do it sometime during that month. So I really like this system. Okay, so now we move into the weekly spreads, and you can see that I have put washi along the side again, and we have this tab here that says weekly. So this is what my weekly spreads look like. And as I mentioned, this is the core of my planning system. This is where all of the plans and appointments go. So I put everything that I want to do that week, but I'm not sure which day to do it on, here on the left. And then at the beginning of the week, I try to transfer all of these over to a particular day so that I don't have too many unallocated tasks going along on the left here for too long. Then I use the hourly spreads to mark my appointments and also to mark specific tasks that I'm going to be doing. Sorry, that's Pet in the background if you can hear barking. And so I can see which days are full of particular appointments, where I have extra space. I can see it all mapped out, and I really like that. It gives me such a clear view of when everything is happening during the week and how much extra time I have to work around the fixed appointments. And so if I'm going to be doing a project by myself, I will block that off as well so that I see that that time has been allocated. Otherwise, I will just end up booking something else in that time. So that is how I use the weekly spread, and obviously because I've only just started this, I don't have a huge amount in it, but I've already gone ahead and put in all of the appointments and everything that I know is happening over the next few weeks. So basically I just rely on this weekly spread going forward from week to week, and because I'm not using the monthly spreads anymore for forward planning, I'm just using them for deadlines. That means that as soon as I get an appointment, I put it straight into the weekly spread and I don't transfer from one spread to the next, and I think that works really well because I'm only writing everything down once. Okay, so then we move over to the daily spreads, and I love having daily spreads in my Cousin because I use this for note-taking and brainstorming and daily planning and everything to do with work. So I know that all of my work-related stuff is in here, and that just makes me feel really happy. So as you can see, I have put these tabs in every month, and they have all of the month names on them, and on the back they have the month numbers. And then I've put a strip of washi in as well so that I can easily flip to the beginning of every month, because I use the monthly dashboards as an index for every day. So I just write the days of the month down the side here, and then I put a little heading in so that I can tell what happens on every day. So like I said, sometimes if I have a particularly busy day, I will use that daily spread for daily planning. If the weekly spread gets too busy and too chaotic, then I'll just flip over to a daily spread and write things down there where I have more space. Usually I will put appointments on the left and to-dos on the right, but I don't use this timeline because I find it too small, so I'll just write my own timeline. I don't have any to show you at the moment because I've just started this planner, but I'll do an update when I've been using it for a couple of months. And then other times I use the daily spreads for notes about particular projects. And then other times I use the daily spreads for notes about particular projects. So for example, this is a project that I'm currently working on, and I've just made some notes here to keep track of what I'm doing. If I end up with blank pages in the month, then I'll just leave them blank and go on to the next month when that month starts, so that I can have extra pages for note-taking if I need to later on in the year. And so that's how I use all of the daily spreads, and generally by the end of the year I've filled up pretty much every page. So it works really, really well as a system. It seems to have exactly the amount of space that I need for a year's worth of work notes and work plans. Now, the one thing that I wish Hobonichi had as a printed spread was a page for making notes about the following year. And because it doesn't have that, I have made my own. So in the back, at the end of the daily spreads, there are some blank pages. And so I've just put in a little forward planner here that has enough space for me to write in daily appointments for about 6 months after this planner ends. And obviously at the beginning of the year it's not necessary, but as the year goes on and as I get closer to the end of this planner, I find myself having to make appointments for well into the next year. And so this is really useful because I can just flip to the back of the book and then write in, like if I have a course that I have to teach or a conference that I have to go to in, let's say, August 2022, when this planner ends at the end of March 2022 and the monthly spreads only go until May of 2022, then I can just write in here, like say 10th to the 13th of August 2022, I can write it in there, and that works really well. So that goes until January 2023, which is definitely enough to cover me until my next planner kicks in. And then I've left all of these end pages blank. Usually I use this timetable at the end to write down my teaching schedule, but like I said, the teaching year has just finished, and so I won't be using this until the end of September when I know what my schedule looks like. And I haven't decorated the back, although I might put some happy stickers on here at some point. I have put a strip of washi down the side here, and that's it. So this is my new Spring 2021 Hobonichi Cousin work planner, and I already love it, and I'm so happy to be in a new cousin, and for me it kind of feels like starting a new year. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back again soon. Bye!